Because that's the way I do it. I get popcorn in my throat as I bring the stream online. We're the Red Shirt Geeks. I'm Patrick, and I can't breathe, apparently. Give me a moment here, folks. Wow, I get the camera off-centered. Oh, yeah. Ugh. That's the way to start a stream, folks. Trying to die. So, what do you think here? Yeah, we got some updating and things to do. But yeah, so I was sitting at lunch today, and I started, let's see here. Let me pop this open here. So let me actually switch right over to the day. So I was trying to get an event. So I'm sitting at lunch, and I decided to start working on Adventure for my next Wednesday game, which is a little over a week away. And I realized, and I want one that has less combat because I've been doing combat and dungeon crawling this last week. The last couple weeks I've been doing that. And what I had an inspiration was, I was trying to figure out how can I get them to go to another town. They have to do a lot of negotiating, a lot of talky and roleplay, and not a lot of fighting and grinding stuff. So, let me start here. My idea was part of my travel from you nearby vision would touch the key to the events of Finnifer, which is the gnome town that they're in. I have to go to a leader named by the name of Dokilon. He's the god of fighters, barbarians in my world of Adraeon. So I went to the and I realized I need to do some rewriting. Second here. Yeah, I kind of, yeah, I need to fix that content. Sorry. Just something I thought I'm putting a note there. I just don't want to say the word on stream because, yeah, it's some bad shit. And as I've come through this, I've decided I do not want this. Meaning I'm going to have to invent at least 2 more guns. What I need to do is a couple things. Tokular has changed his name. I have changed his name and kind of done things. I've also gone through and removed any of the D&D content, which for a while, because of our original campaign, Ashardalon was in the world. Now her name is now Vetzel. So yeah. But the big one was this guy by the name of Torre. Originally, and I missed this because I didn't remember this from the Silmarillion, was the guy playing the player character version of this character had named him after one of Tolkien's gods. Then he picks another name named Thorain, which kind of invokes Thor and Oakenshield, and puts Thor in there. It's like, seriously? So my god's going to be named as Thorain, and I've decided to fix that by invoking Deus Ex Ara, so she can do that. And I still got to find a few other things in there, but those two and some changes and some things with Adraeon, I kind of wanted to change and fix my gods. So I got this inspiration here. This is literally the entire history of my world in the most basics. You have the beginning, before the first beginning, the formation of the world, blah, 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 blah. The first stage, which is I have a great dragon war and my precursor race, Mave, who all die. Almost everybody in this age dies at some point. The second age is the rise of Adraeon. Spreading of the various species around the world, the barriers of time and space open, and it ends with, and the second age of the dragons comes and goes with the death of Adraeon after destruction of the Dragon Scepter. Something from our original campaign that we never got to Lars and I never got to finish. And something I got from a little movie from the year 2000 called Dungeons & Dragons. Not the good one, the shitty one. Where everybody just ham-fisted their performances so bad it's not even funny. My third age is my technological age. No dragons, things like that. And then I have a major event planned for the end of that, and that's a campaign setting I haven't been. At my fourth age, I'm figuring we got more access to multiverse. We're gonna have my magic school set, my Strixhaven-ish, although I may rename everything, Strixhaven-ish setting is there, as well as if I do any spell jamming. That was written on a note card this size. That is literally how I created. These are things I've been bouncing in and out of my head for years and trying to figure it out. So I decided to write the entire history of Adraeon down. All because I started to plan all because I had this idea, a little phrase from episode 2, Star Wars episode 2, called involving aggressive negotiations, which, if you're not familiar, is negotiations conducted with a lightsaber. awful bright. Alexa, turn off night light. There we go. It's gonna be bright as hell because I got white. What is this one? Okay, let me do something here. Dark theme, so I got a little bit of light out. But I'm still gonna have my OBS screen. It looks like that. Lots of light on it. And of course my main screen with the light. Let's just full screen this because yeah, I'm gonna need all this stuff. Again, I don't need all. There we go. So yeah, I decided to build my entire history. Here's how I open it. And I'm literally working on this as though I were writing a source book for Adraeon. So let me get my Adraeon Moonsong voice because this is a quote from the book. Threads of space and time and fate weave between all the worlds of the multiverse and other multiverses in what I like to call the metaverse. Sometimes, in new guises and new names because of copyright, characters will reappear and new stories will be told. And then sometimes you have to create a new timeline and cast young and hot actors, and then take Kirk and recast him as a shittier bard than a 3-5-1, and make them. And make the movie where the default world and settings of the world's most overrated role-playing game actually fucking works. Also, I think they use the fat cat as reference to the dragon, which is funny as shit. Either way, it's a justification of why shit gets mixed up, like dropping a Time Lord in as a starship captain, or why IRL sets appear on other planets, or why people like gnomes and elves get slandered in pop culture, and we get fantasy in space and a magic school like that other franchise, that one bitch who pissed off everyone. Even the guy who then went on to play a corpse and stab on a horse sides in another show. Can't write that. At least the story isn't in phase. Who gives a fuck? Like, oh hey, looks like Lars is in my document and moving around. Okay, so yeah, Lars, don't try to edit my document. Don't try to comment on my documents in the middle of the damn stream. Shit, I'm rambling too much. Guess I'll have to hashtag Adraeon. Hashtag OpenD. Adraeon Moonsong. In the forward of the book of now the most egregious as told by Adraeon. Oh. Hang on a second. Okay, hang on. Let's see. Okay, my mic looks good. I might have been pulling back and not talking really loud and rambling. Oh, yeah. Because I took... Yeah. Also, Lars, this is for you. Okay. Let's see if I can get my mic adjusted so that I'm always loud as fuck. What music? I don't need... Do I have music playing? Hold on. My apologies, folks. I didn't even realize I had the music playing. I had it plugged in my headphones, and it was quiet in my head. There we go. Okay, so... My apologies for all of that, because that sucked ass. And... I'm debating if I kill Lars's access so he doesn't start typing on my screen. Okay, so for any of you who were listening and like, fuck, that's too loud. Now we're back. I'm Patrick, and this is the Red Shirt Geeks, and let's see here. You could at least read what I was saying, even if you could hear me over the cranking guitar. Yeah, okay. This loud ass rock just is not the vibe I want. So let me see if I can find something. Let's see here. Let's try this. Yeah, that's more chill. Okay. Because I don't care about this, so I'll just set it down. And here's the thing. Biggest lesson is always look at your fucking levels. I suck at looking at my levels. Okay, so there we go. Now I can see... Now I got my chat up so I can see what Lars said. And I can see Discord so I can see what Lars said. And now I can continue the stream. Okay, so I'll recap since it was hard to hear. So I started today, I was trying to create my adventure, which involved a god of my world who's playing things, mainly to test the party members so that they can become gods in the future. Because I got two PCs. I got an NPC that's going to join the party, and all three of those are going to probably become gods, because two of them are already on the list, and the third one I haven't really fleshed out yet. And the fourth person in their party is going to be the dragon Adraeon. So, yay. But that meant I had to go into my deities, and I had to look at some of those, and I had to make some updates and change that. And then I had the inspiration of the postcard. Let me, yeah. Yeah. Create this postcard here, which had my ages. Which led to me, hey, There's the Red Shirt Geeks channel. Oh, that's what it was. 5 years ago, we started actually, and I will actually link this to you. I started a campaign with Lars and his wife where we were basically building a campaign. I was doing campaign diaries of our campaign. I misspelled that, I think. Oh, well. And we went into the Sunless Citadel, which is how a Chardalon got temporarily into the campaign. But oh well. So, literally our entire campaign, as far as we got, which was clearing out the Sunless Citadel, and we didn't get much farther than that. We pretty much stopped there, and that campaign died. But I had an idea how it was going to end. So, I was able to do that. So that brings me back to the history of Adraeon. So yeah. So this is the basics of this. The following tales of the world of Adraeon are contained deep in the ever-shifting pages of the aforementioned Book of Meta-Knowledge, written by unknown contributors and enchanted by Arn Moonsong herself, who wrote most annoyingly in the third person because, as she put it, that fucking asshole that created me is actually writing it. Yeah. What she means by this is unclear. As her quirky statements and margin notes revealed, she knew worlds outside even this moon, and perhaps beyond that. Okay, so the time before the birth of Adraeon. There is some game eras of this age. I have none. This is the origin of the world, and no adventures exist at all here. So I'm going to just go through this. Before the beginning, it's untold number of years prior to Adraeon, created by Adra, in an unnamed land with it began an unnamed party on an adventure. This is actually the first 3.5 game I played after many years of drought. Had a local game group that I'm part of, and we decided to play some Dungeons and Dragons, and one of the guys was going to run. Motherfucker still has to give me my fucking shares back, so fuck that asshole. But one of the side notes is it gave us a couple things. Number one, a character by the name of Meldarin. I eventually created a Domain of Dread and named it after the player who then became a DM later in a world, a city in his world called Nevernight, which I haven't really written that down in this yet, but we'll get to that. But yeah, he becomes the bad guy because as yes, old school emoticons, because Lauren would speak in those. Yeah. And yes, that's a shot across the bow of Bing, a search engine that literally can't find a site that I point people to all the time in my work. It literally, you type in the site name and it finds everything else. So, fuck Bing. So, yeah. Again, this is kind of... Again, I'm kind of approaching this kind of from a Tolkien Silmarillion kind of way. I'm just trying to account it with bits and pieces of history. But that first campaign, Adraeon made a wish for power, got yeeted out, and became... Oh, fuck, I'll just read her words that I wrote, because I'm the asshole. A result, in her words, that fucker yeeted my ass into non-existence and dropped in a lawful stupid paladin for him to run. And I was lost for an unnamed time, 3 campaigns later. I get popped up before my god, and she offers me power and a chance to serve her. So I take it. And then I get to become a favorite soul, and that story's quite interesting. Here's a link to that backstory, which is literally the backstory I wrote, the beginning of Adraeon Moon's song, As I Know Her. See? Bull's backstory, this ends the summary, also tits. This was the one page I wrote for the DM so that he could look at. I mean, literally, this is Adraeon's first moment she thinks after she's dead. Is this death? Or am I somewhere else? Have I a body? Do I have a body? Are my thoughts all I am? And I just gotta replace the bog fucking standard fucking paladin? Seriously? Just fucking seriously? Next time I wish to be the paladin. A big shiny boob plate. Of course, there's the whole alignment thing. Because, you know, she's chaotic good, and you have to be... 3-5 required lawful good pallies. My child, come, cast off the burdens of your form and return to the house of our fathers. Wait, you're not an elf. Well, no fucking shit, my lady. But I sensed a follower of Corellon has been cast from the moral realm. Yeah, that's me. You? But humans. I know, but I served him, her, whatever. I think my last prayer was heard. This is highly unusual, but I have been called to lead you forth. But as I have been called to lead you forth, I shall do so. So let me stop some shawarma. Must have been recently after. Must have written this one recently after the first Avengers movie. I have no idea what it is, or even why I want it, but either I'm really high and not disinspired by a super powerful wizard, or I think my wish broke some barrier between our reality and all the others. That was the beginning of Bardic meta-knowledge, literally. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. That's a nice little read. Okay, so let me get back to... So since then, I keep reappearing and in various guises as myself doing the NPC thing or getting dredged in some story or other as his character. I do like barding it up in the 5th edition of that stupid role-playing game owned by corporate bastards. But there was that outing where we got into that depressing place ran by the Dracula knockoff, Strahd, that just wants to bang his dead wife. Dying there was a mistake, because that's how my spirit got yeeted in Nevernight. Luckily, I finally got out of there, or maybe else I also didn't, and got transporter cloned and shit or something. Over time, I had 20 years, fewer emotions, and I was a scientist. And then... And I cut myself off. I cut Adraeon off here because, yeah, I could go on. And yes... If I play her in Star Trek, if she shows up in the role-playing game Star Trek Adventures, her name is Tamarin, and she's a Vulcan. And she still has the Star Trek equivalent of Bardic meta-knowledge. Which is really funny when a Vulcan when a Vulcan is talking logically and then just randomly spits a fact. Yeah. The big thing here is, yeah. She becomes her god's lover and produces 3 children, and that's probably the most important one. Okay. Okay, so I gotta kind of get. Okay. You know, I'm probably not going to read all this out in detail, because this will get boring. World. I'm not going to go with the joke there. I actually want to. I think I want to. Okay. Okay, so let me think here. I cannot type. I can't type today. There we go. Yeah, okay. So if you look at the autocorrect, it's it's Daphne with just an extra letter in because I want to make it a little different. That is for those who it's hard, those of you who don't understand. That is actually a reference to Gamers 2. Yep. Because this is a character that doesn't... Hang on, I gotta look at something. I need to look at something. There we go. I need to... Okay, I just needed to find an I just need to find an actor's name. Because if you're going to have somebody who's a prankster, who is chaotic, why not pick a character that has a passing resemblance to one Harley Quinn from Batman the Animated Series? So, yeah. But I didn't want to name the character Harley, so we'll go with this variation of Arlene for the late Arlene Sorkin, who originally voiced one of our favorite characters created in a kids show that eventually came out and eventually made it into the comics and became big. Okay. I don't really care about I'm literally making this up as we go. Let's live long lives of creative endeavor and thoughts. Okay, I gotta look at a couple things. I am going to tweak these a little bit. And I will paste in and... Let's see here. Okay. Wait, did I need to go to Malvi. Hang on. Gotta think this one out. Here we go. Okay. Took the form of a platinum dragon. Okay, this is brand new stuff. Originally, I had her die from childbirth. But instead, what I'm going to do, I have her servant created these creatures. Adraeon invested them with the gift of knowledge of order and chaos and of good and evil. Because a god who is not evil would not withhold this knowledge. I won't quote the exact story. There we go. So, yeah. Yeah. There's some specific phrasing there that if you know what I'm referring to, you know what the fuck I'm referring to. Okay. Yeah. There's some real world shade I'm throwing there. I'll let you decide on what I'm throwing shade at. But if you look at some phrasing here, number one, I'm referring to alignment, but I'm not referring solely to alignment. So we're going to go. We're going to move on there. Because here's the thing. In creating this world, I decided I wanted my primary god, Adraeon, to be a neutral god. He is neither good nor evil, nor chaotic nor lawful. Wishes to maintain balance in all things. So, and he is not all powerful and not all knowing and not all loving. While he truly loves his creation, he is not his desire to make the world work is his primary goal. And he knows he can't police every damn thing. So, yeah, I'm working on my creation myth because that's how this works. Insert horizontal line. Yeah, we're not going to do everything tonight. I'm going to work on this off stream as well because part of this is just the fun of creating these things. Let me check something here. Okay. Page for the... Okay, so that's where I'm going. None. My bear. Okay, so the First Age, the Great Dragon War, and the Era of the Mave. And here's the thing. Basically, I need a beginning age. This is where all the great monuments and magic items are created and all that shit. Basically, so basically I don't have to create a long lineage of various kingdoms and humans rising, etc., etc. Because I don't have tens of thousands of years for each era. For the ages, I don't have... And there aren't going to be... Let's see here. Yeah, I'm... Yeah, there's going to be a good number of the gods are going to go here. Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to put the extra space in there. Boom. Okay. Now from here on out, I'm just going to create... I need that as the beginning. Yeah, I'm going to have to figure out which gods are... I got to completely reorganize these. What's another word for this? I am going to expand this a lot further. Hold on, let go. Oops. Kind as well as the Great Islands. I'm thinking how I've definitely got to add a map or two to this. Okay, all the dragons given part of the spark create. Okay, so to be fair, I want to put fight and fuck, but outside of Aaron's comments, I don't want to. Those need to be written in a more formalized tongue. I think I need. Okay. We're going to summarize because I don't think you want to watch me write for hours. Okay. I'm stubbing this. Basically, long story short, is two sides will form, and there will be a great fight between the chromatic and the metallic, because the chromatic dragons organize and begin to strike and try to destroy. Now, Vetsor becomes extremely powerful, and she starts laying waste to things, forcing Malavi to rise up and bring a fellow god along and try to kick their ass. The Mave become much more powerful and begin to develop develop technology. The ultimate thing they create is the Dragon Scepter. The first ultimate thing they create is the Dragon Scepter, the item which is fought over because it could be used to command dragons. Thank you, D&D 2000 movie. You gave me an idea that allows me to work with this. This Dragon Scepter is invested with a shit ton of power and is tied to the lives of the dragons, as Mavra has her life tied to the Mave. So yeah, it rhymes, to borrow from one Mr. George Lucas. Mavra has tied her life to the Mave. When they are destroyed, it will kill her. When the Dragon Scepter is destroyed, it kills the dragons. That's how the second... Spoiler, the second age ends that way. The first age... Yeah, now Vetsor becomes the first Drac Lich. And another Lich, I don't know, I can't remember his name. I have to look through my notes and find all of that, and it's buried in other documents. I just don't know where it is. That's the problem, as I've written this. This is the first definitive history, and I'm probably going to put links to my other stuff here. So yeah, Adra's going to make the biggest mistake here. He is going to kill his He is going to kill almost everything in his world, and regret it because it is the wrong thing to do to take your creation and wipe it out with destruction. Again. Okay. Brings us to the second age, the rise and fall of Adraeon, Kingdoms of the North. Now, here's the important thing. A lot of this is actively being written right now. I can't spell it. What'd I name this? Okay, I just figured out this is going to be my dinosaur island. Do 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 do. Okay. Insert the horizontal line. Did I call it the Great Leeward Chain? Okay, I'm just kind of putting the stubs in here. Okay, so there's actually 3 campaign settings. There's 3 eras. There's 3 game eras. The first one is the Rise of Adraeon North. This is literally the beginning of the story of Adraeon. And I will note it as I go through and put the stubs in. There's the Islands campaign, which is set 100 years later. Now, actually, this one, it's an origin story for at least 3 deities. I haven't decided if anybody from the island's going to become a deity yet, but not a few characters. This is going to be the story of Adraeon coming to the dragons and a fight against an entity known as the Void, which I will explain here later. The Rise of Adraeon Island is set a century after the North campaign. This one is basically dealing with the Totalian Order of Paladins, named the Order. Yeah, there's other islands, but got them isolated enough that nobody knows about all these islands. Although I think I know what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some population out far, far, far to the east, and they are going to slowly start working their way along the islands over a few centuries, so that eventually the islands will become alive with stuff. The third campaign setting is the Dragons of Adraeon. This is literally the beginning of this. A lot of this will be, a lot of the campaign diary will be me just doing a lot of the campaign diary will mainly center around me just doing a lot of the campaign diary centers around me telling what I did and what I'm creating for the next game. Gods of Adraeon so far, huh? I literally was just running two people through my first campaign. Creed was the first place where Adraeon existed, and I was just making it up as I was going along and coming up with little bits and pieces. I think at this point, most of the Mave stuff is either discovered or lost permanently. I think all my two early campaigns are going to be about discovering Mave relics and things like that. The latter, this one, which is defunct, and I basically had to write the ending because it's not getting played, will be so if you want to see how the beginnings of that campaign setting, there it is. I'll put it into the chat again. That's literally how I created, and I'm just kind of stubbing this out because I kind of know in my head what the history is, but I'm writing new things as we go. The cool thing is, this is a big event. This is like a couple years where what's left of the dragons, what's left of the Mave, what's left of the dragons, pretty much all the Mave are killed. Partially through the action of Adra, although with a great deal of regret, because he miscalculated. He didn't intentionally just try to kill, but after that he starts to repopulate the world with the elves that he'd collected. So yeah, Second Age, yeah. I'm going to have to look at the dark sun setting for that. But yeah. I don't know how I'm going to write that. I'm probably going to write that. A lot of this is going to be in stub form, bits and pieces, so that I have... Now you're wondering why I'm spelling Illuminati wrong. That is intentional. Yeah. Basically, the worst damage to the Mave is going to be the south area. There's the south, there's the north, there's the island, and I haven't really come up with the lost worlds yet. Okay. Yeah. Luanite is something I introduced in the in the in the North and Island camp. Actually, I introduced it first in the North campaign. I've actually done that campaign twice. First one, I ran short and we stopped playing for a while, and then we got another player, so we decided to start over, and I'm retelling it with a little bit more clarity than I had the first time. So, okay. Okay, I think I'm going to change this a little bit. Okay. Close. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah. Here's the legacy shit. I gotta go through all of this and refresh my memory. Yeah, a lot of this shit's... Yeah, this is gonna be... Yep, I'm going to have to look through this a lot. Oh, yeah, that's before that's pre-Mave creation, so... There we go. Oh, okay. How much dust has settled on this content? That's a good question. Okay, so let me, since you probably weren't here, I literally, this is a long-running world. If you want to see the very beginnings of this world before I even had an idea I was going to create a whole lot of backstory, here's the campaign diaries for that. Literally, for my buddy Lars and his wife, started a campaign where we had a wizard and a bard, and a lot of the early stuff settled out. Currently I'm running 2 campaigns in this world. Let me zip to, we're in the Second Age. We're playing these 2 campaigns, the Rise of Adraeon North, Rise of Adraeon Island. These are my 2 campaign settings. I'm running this game every other Wednesday with a couple people and we're kind of built, and so that's being written as we speak. That history is going to write in as we speak, although I'm going to kind of write in the stub of what's going to happen with the backstory, and I'll be able to push it. The island is basically fighting a totalitarian paladin group, and that little error right there. And then I have, and literally right now I'm just writing stubs of what I'm going to fill in. Now, I am one of these days, if I could put this all together, and I decide to start putting out more content, I may eventually turn this into a more permanent content. I could eventually turn this into a book, because I've got years of stories and history and stuff like that. And all of it centers around a character by the name of Adraeon Moonsong, which is literally the first D&D character I had played in years, back in 2016, 2017, I don't remember, mid-2010s, where I decided to play a 3/5 bard. And some really crazy shit happened, and after she got yeeted out of existence, I started creating her backstory. I created Adraeon because I just needed a place to play where I could kind of craft an original story. I stole the scepter from the 2000 D&D movie as my big-ass MacGuffin for that. And then I tied and keep growing. Because this will grow this has been growing probably, this world is probably a decade old maybe, from the first, not a decade. I'm going to say a little over 5 years. Let me do this here. I'm going to pause that. This was 5 years ago, May 21st, 2018. This is the first video. This is the first video of Session Zero on building the campaign. This is the beginning. So, yeah, there's the answer. May 21st, 2018. So, May of 2018 is the first time maybe April or May of 2019 is when I created the world of Adraeon. So, yeah, it's a 5-year-old world. So, and all this started because today I was trying to come up with a campaign. I was trying to come up with an adventure. Now, I reserve my right to change this constantly. But I started on this, and because I had a god that I wanted to have, and I have an entire document of just my pantheon of gods. But I kind of have to fix some things and adjust some stuff. And I got to decide what I'm keeping and what I'm deleting because it's just too stupid. I'm not getting rid of Adraeon Moonsong, though. Because, yeah, there's just so much. And there's just so much that I've got in my head still that I have to write. But yeah, I'll read this again because the first time I read this, I messed up and didn't have my audio levels right. I was blasting music really loud. Or maybe I won't. I don't know. I'm just trying to think, how can I fill up? Because basically, the whole reason I'm doing this stream tonight is, one, to create content, that I want to create for my game world, and 2, to fill in space. Yeah. Yep. So if that's the answer to your question, how much is settled on it, this has been growing for over 5 years at this point. And right now I'm kind of doing the Tolkien thing, trying to set the history of the Elder Days and all of that into order. Once I can finish these 2 campaigns that I'm running, I'm going to probably let it rest until I can eventually start a Third Era campaign in the... Because right now, it's the birth of the world, basically my version of the. Yeah, let's see here. That's time before the birth of Adraeon. That's basically think the Song of Iluvatar. That's basically what I'm doing, except less poetic and without the discord that. Crap. What's his name? Crap. Became Morgoth. What was his name before? I don't remember. But yeah, I'm going to put my deities in here. The first age is basically my precursor. Melkor, thank you. Yeah. The first age is basically my precursor era where I have a lot of dragons and a precursor race known as the Mave. I'm killing all of them. They are all dead. The first group of dragons is pretty much dead. And the Mave are all wiped out. And I still got to fill all that by the time we get to the second age where my game setting begins. So yeah, this is still a fair... In this area, it's a fairly wild area where there's some ancient ruins and some settlements and towns and cities are popping up where there were ruins and stuff built previously. And that's where a lot of the stuff is going to come from, is the building of the world here. This is the explanation. Most of this I'm trying to write in as though it were being written as a great history, with occasion, and because I'm saying that this is coming from a book known as the Book of Knowledge Most Egregious as Told by Adraeon, or the Book of Meta-Knowledge, which, by the way, actually, hold on a second, let me go... Give me a second here. Let me hop on to Beyond. Collections. Although I may eventually change this, and I found a few typos. Here is the book I'm talking about. Well, there's some typos in it. The writing of it alone is hilarious. The description of this book alone is pretty damned hilarious. Yeah. My North campaign, they're actually at a town called Finnefort. Spelled... Hold on. Spelled F-Y-N-N-I-F-O-R-T, which, when you learn about what my world is, you can see that all the name, it's basically a gnome city. And you can tell it's gnomes because there's a lot of freaking Y's all over the names. And this is part 7 of the story that I'm writing. Part 7 of the adventures. We have more sessions than that, but that's because it takes them time to work through this. But it's literally, Finnefort is built around an ancient Mave tower that's about half its height because a good portion came off and landed west of where the town is now. They're plumbing, and the gnomes are basically plumbing it for knowledge and dealing with what's going to eventually become dealing with an enemy known simply as the Void, which is a threat to the entire multiverse. And when I talk about the multiverse, I talk about the multiverse that is all of the D&D existence, because, and this was a concept that was that kind of started in the first editions of the game, where the creators of the game and the early players Oh yeah, it's threatening. It's threatening all D&D worlds. But a couple, but it's going to. Eh, don't worry. Don't worry. The story of the North campaign is them driving it back because it's basically this entity known as the Void exists outside of the multiverse. When you have 10th level or higher magics being unleashed by mortal beings, which is what the Mave did, and that's why things are so bad, they poked a hole outside of the multiverse and let this entity made this entity aware of its existence. The only being that has any knowledge of it beyond that it exists and it's creates pure utter chaos. Think Lovecraft. Think the Lovecraft mythos cranked to 11. And considering it's already cranked to 11, crank it to 11 again. That's how bad this thing is. It would completely undo all of reality and make all of existence unreality. So it can't actually be defeated, and it can't be allowed to fully inhabit this world. Because if it does, it gets a foothold in the multiverse. And from Adraeon, it can open portals to every other world. In my original run, the interesting thing is the North campaign was... the North campaign, originally, I had the one and only... crap, I forgot his name. I can't remember it because the last time I played... Because... Why can't I remember his name? Mordenkainen, yeah. I should remember that because Ard Moonsong got to fireball him at some point. That was fun. I mean, seriously. Seriously, she tried to fireball him. He counterspelled her. And I had 2 levels of fighter, so action surge. Here's fireball number 2, motherfucker. Boom. Morty got roasted a little. And then he time stopped us, the bastard. In the original version, I actually have Mordenkainen show up in the world. I think because I'm trying to make sure I leave any licensed content out of what I'm writing, he's not going to... the story is going to still have a servant of the ancient... of an ancient wizard of balance... of the balance show up, but it's going to be one of his apprentices, and that apprentice is going to be a character from a Castles and Crusades campaign that I'm going to bring in, and she's going to be the she's going to be really old and the Archmage. And she's a halfling who's both a wizard and a druid named Prim. She's awesome. But yeah, I'm going to bring her in as the Morty stand-in. But yeah, that's the cool thing here, is the Void threatens the entirety of the multiverse, but if it can be stopped in Adraeon, it will not be able to truly get a foothold. It may be able to poke holes and occasionally unleash utter chaos, which is worse than just regular chaos. That once it's unleashed, the point here is that Adraeon can be sealed off so that if it can be sealed away from Adraeon, it can't truly get a foothold. But it can poke around at the edges, and maybe if you are running a campaign where you want to get some cosmic horror elements, there's the thing, the Void. Let me see if I've got something on the Void. There it is. Let's see here. Come on. Yeah, I have to not... I'm. Yeah, okay. Nope, that just tells that just tells it. Okay. But yeah, essentially the void is ultimate cosmic horror, and it will undo reality. That's the nature of the enemy. But it can only leak bits and pieces of itself. Ultimately, the final climactic battle of my North campaign is going to be them making a move to move in to stop the portal. Prim will be busy using all of her power to hold back the literal embodiment of the void reaching in, and they'll have to do some crazy shit. I got a near kill Daria, aka the Dragon Draytan, who eventually becomes a god at the end of the next era when she dies permanently. Yeah, there's a lot, but yeah, this is an idea I've been bouncing around. The idea that the void is part of the metaverse. It's an entity that exists outside the multiverse. And yeah, it's beyond the regular cosmic horror. I mean, yeah, you can't in the Lovecraft mythos, you can't really fight the elder gods. You can only forestall them and keep them from really getting a root and making the world go insane and go because we like tentacle parties. Yeah, I can see I can see I'm going to have to slightly rename the Vistani and refer to them as the Wandering Folk. Yeah, there we go. Hold on, let me find that area. Okay, there we go. Just make some little notes. I'll call them the Wandering Folk. Now, in-game, I can refer to them as whatever the hell they want, but when I'm writing this document, I'm going to make this document a source book. I'm trying to make this into something source book-like, so I have to avoid anything that's referred to in the world's greatest role-playing game. That's their IP. But you can make oblique references to that. Like Mordenkainen, obviously he's not going to appear. He is going to be referred to as a Wizard of Balance, capital B, because that's kind of where I was taking Prim in the campaign before the CNC campaign, before it unraveled and got really stupid. But hey, that's the idea. We're at 2.5 hours here, so I've been kind of creating this. The downside of this is trying to do a stream and write doesn't really work as well. But yeah, I'm going to write. Yeah, that's some of the things I want to do. Is I did before the WotC bullshit, I did pick up the Strixhaven on D&D Beyond. I kind of want to run a school game. Because I think that would be fun. But I'm going to probably change a good chunk of I'm going to probably change the name of Strixhaven to something else. Change some of the major names. Rework it a little bit. And eventually turn the campaign, turn it into my own school. Mainly writing the general story, but probably in game I'll run with a good chunk of the Strixhaven content, just because, yeah. But I can't really tell the story. But let's be honest, Strixhaven is kind of a semi-rip-off of the Wizarding, of the transphobic bitches Wizarding World. So, yeah. But then again, a magic school is not a unique concept. How you create your magic school is kind of how it becomes. So, but yeah, I'm just for each of the areas I create, I'm going to have to write. Especially the early days, I'm going to have to write. With the South, I think I'm going to borrow a little bit from Dark Sun. Some of the concepts. Especially the cannibalistic halflings. I've already determined there's a good number of halflings and a lot of them are cannibals. So anybody who's come from the South does have a distrust of halflings. And they'll still be fairly barbaric in the Era of Destruction campaign setting. I'm definitely going to have them. I'm going to have them be still fairly barbaric. Because halfling barbarians and things are fun. I think what I'll do with that is I'll give them the ability. I think I'll give those halflings that are of that area the ability to carry slightly smaller versions for them of weapons that have the heavy weapons property. That'll be something of that area. It will not be something I have to impose a penalty on any player who would want a character from that area. Yeah, just coming up with bits and pieces for the world. There's so much. The problem is trying to come up with all this stuff on the fly is always a challenge. But yeah. Technology really comes in by the Era of Destruction and Tales of Northern Uprising, which is going to be fun because the Dragonkin, which are the Dragonborn and the Kobolds, are going to be the major problem because they survived the destruction of the Dragon Scepter, whereas the true dragons didn't, but all the Dragonkin did. So yeah, that's a few of the lore things in my world that make it interesting. I decided kobolds, rather than pretending to be dragons, are actually Dragonkin. Lesser Dragonkin compared to the Dragonborn. And the other thing is, I changed the creature type of owlbears to beasts, which means a few things. Most importantly, you remember that little... I kind of decided on it before the D&D movie came out, but that solidified my decision because I want to have a druid who decides to wild shape into an owlbear. Because that was one of the coolest things. Because to be honest, that was one of the coolest things of the D&D of the most recent D&D movie. Which is what happens when you decide to make your bard even shittier than the 3/5 bard. Because let's be honest, Edgin from the movie was technically a bard because he played an instrument and was able to charm people, but he didn't really do magic. They kind of followed the very subtle magic rule, is in he had skills and abilities to boost his allies, but it didn't do the magic, which they saved for just the sorcerer and the evil wizard bitch, because that made it fun. And of course, the druid wasn't a big spellcaster. She was mainly let's take away her spellcast. Let's not really have her do much spellcasting. Let's mainly have her do her wild shape, because that's what makes the character unique. And to be honest, that made that movie really, really good. Yeah, if I ever build a campaign, if I do with something on the islands to the west of the main continent, I am going to Jurassic Park the shit out of that. Currently, my online group is we sort of finished Curse of Strahd. We kind of hit an end where we had to quit because the DM couldn't DM anymore. So we didn't finish. We were able to escape, most of us, except the ones who literally got exhaustioned to death. Yeah, when you get hit with 6 levels of exhaustion in 5e, you die. And we had at least 2 characters die of exhaustion because one of Strahd's lieutenant dudes was able to showed up, dropped 2 levels of exhaustion, hit a bunch of people, but then he triggered one other ability that gave 4 more levels of exhaustion. Thankfully, Auron had only gotten 2 levels of exhaustion, got her ass the hell out of there. Got far enough away so when he triggered the 4 levels of exhaustion, she didn't die. My buddy Lars, he died from that, and the NPC Irina, who's very, very important to the game, and Stradvan Zarevich himself, she died, and then the rest of us ran like hell and escaped, and we were allowed to tell the stories of how our lives ended in... How our lives ended in, oh, I forgot to add that. Hold on, I got to think. Okay. Needed to add that real quick. Okay. So yeah, because I remember that because Nevernight is my domain of dread that I created that I've appended to Adraeon because it's tied to Aran Moonsong, who is tied to Adraeon in so many ways, having given birth to Adra after banging Corellon. Yeah. So okay, hold on. I just had an idea. I have to write this down on a note card. Yeah, I'm going to stick in my world somewhere, probably for my Saturday game, because the original player of the character Meldarin is in that game. So I'm going to put. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a small I'm going to probably put a settlement somewhere on my island, a hidden settlement of wizards who pray to what they believe is their deity, Meldarin. I love that idea. I have to play it completely straight. Of course, every so often they'll find they'll find graffiti that says Meldarin sucks. Probably somehow magically left there by Aran Moonsong, who thinks Meldarin sucks. So, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. So if you have any other questions, I am totally open to where and what I could do with this world. I have a good idea of the early days, and obviously everything before my second age, I pretty much just need to throw together whole cloth as okay. Okay. Yeah, and if you read any of the D&D books, I'm kind of using that as a general concept where they create a book like any of the Mordenkainen or Tasha or anything like that, or Xanathar. There's little notes from there's little notes from the deity, notes from the writer of the book where they comment in. I'm kind of following that as a general idea. Except Aran says shit and fuck a whole lot of times because it's Aran Moonsong. I mean, here is the introduction of the book. I will read it now for the fun of it. The threads of space and time and fate weave between all the worlds of the multiverse and other multiverses in what I like to call the metaverse. sometimes in new guises and with new names because of copyright. Characters will reappear and new stories will be told. And then sometimes you have to create a new timeline and cast younger and hotter actors, and then take Kirk and recast him as a shittier bard than a 351 and make the movie where the default world and setting of the world's most overrated role-playing game actually fucking works. Also, I think they use a Fat Cat as reference for the dragon, which is funny as shit. Either way, it's a justification for why shit gets mixed up, like dropping a Time Lord in as a starship captain, or why IRL sets appear on other planets, or why people like gnomes and elves get slandered in pop culture, and we get fantasy in space and a magic school like that other franchise written by that one bitch who pissed off everyone except people who suck, even the guy who then went on to play a corpse and stab out a horse's eyes in another show. At least this isn't in phase who gives a fuck because somebody can't let the franchise breathe for a second. Shit, I'm rambling a bit too much. Guess I'll have to hashtag out of this motherfucker. Hashtag OpenD&D. Arn Moon Song from the foreword of the Book of Knowledge Most Egregious as told by Arn. Yeah, that's a quote. That's the kind of writing I do for Arn Moon Song. And yes, and let me go through this. Yada, yeah, that's good. And then sometimes you have to create a new timeline, cast younger and hotter actors. That's basically referencing a line of Beckett Mariner from Star Trek Lower Decks. And then take Kirk and recast him as a shittier bard than a 351. That's obviously a reference to Chris Pine, who was cast as Kirk in the Abrams movies, and then Edgin in the Good movie. And shittier than 3-5 is because Arn Moonsong started as a 3-5 bard, and she thinks 3-5 bards suck because she's aware she's a character in a game. Yeah, she's basically got... It's called bardic meta-knowledge. It's basically she's Deadpool, except in a fantasy setting with tits. Generally. Although an interesting side note, when she appears in Nevernight, she has a different name and she can't remember who she is. World's most overrated role-playing game is a reference to the world's greatest role-playing game for obvious reasons. That's Thembershad. Dropping a Time Lord in as a starship captain is actually a reference. There's so many references in this. This is a reference to Lars and I's very first game we ever played, which is a Star Trek game run by a guy who eventually the cheese slipped off his cracker. He's dead now. Rest in peace. Where he basically made a variation of the Enterprise D except 10 times larger or something. And the captain was a Time Lord from Doctor Who. At some point, we beamed up from the requisite Nazi planet, firing a Tommy gun at full power and stitched the guy asshole to breakfast. It was glorious. IRL sets appear on other planets. Yeah, basically all the Star Trek series is where you go to a planet and suddenly they have stuff that looks like it's on Earth. Most recently, the Strange New Worlds episode Hegemony, where they finished out their second season, where they literally say, "Oh, this planet has decided a model of a Midwest town from the 20th century." Fuck. At least we got Scotty. And we know how what garden gnomes and Christmas elves look like. Fantasy in space is Spelljammer, Strixhaven, and the Potterverse. The guy who went on to play a corpse and stab out a horse's eyes in another show, that is Dan Radcliffe. Phase Who Gives a Fuck is obviously my MCU shot, although franchise can't breathe for a second. I actually wrote that on the stream. That's probably both the MCU and the Star Wars universe, and maybe Star Trek universe a little bit. And yeah, of course I'm going to put the Open D&D hashtag in here for something that uses the D&D Creative Commons stuff. Because if I ever write, because I would never release this under WotC's OGL. If this ever were to come to fruition as a book, I will use whatever the either Creative Commons or whatever Paizo and the others are coming up for the Orc license. I don't know if that's done or not. I completely forget. Okay, it is here. Let's go look at that real quick. The Open RPG Creative License. Copyright. Some means copyright. Our work means. Blah blah blah. Licensed material means. Store material. Licensed material by the materials licensor. I have not actually read this, so let me look here. Grants you subject terms of this license for term blah blah. Worldwide royalty non-sublicensable, non-exclusive, irrevocable license right and licensed material. Use licensed material in whole or in part. Yeah. Okay, that hurts my brain. Orc license in plain English. Let's answers and explanations for the Orc license. I like that. Okay. There's openly share the mechanics of their game. Modify use and share adapted into these game mechanics. Stat block, game rules, character and method system inherent in playing the game. Reserve material and trades marks, world lore, story arcs, distinctive characters, visual arts. They need an express text. Notice otherwise means there's and chat license material however you see fit, so long as you give okay, and others to use. System agnostic. So I'm regarding to pure game mechanics of no doubt. Okay. No one controls the Orc license. Yeah. Are corrupted. Not having the capacity. Yeah. No one controls the Orc license because what happens when you have a group, something controlling the license like the open game license, we get what you had at the beginning of the year. Enjoy the base and knock yourself out. Why not create? Share their entire work without reserve material. Okay. Builds in the air. They are no longer realize their innovation. Kills the virtuous. It's open source. The orc license ensures. Okay. Yeah, nope. Once you release under the orc license, you've given the world right to use licensed material in that product forever. Forever, yeah. No license system. Okay, I'm kind of looking at this. Yeah, I'm gonna have to read this in more detail, but yeah. So yeah, there it is. So we got. So that this exists, it is good. Only comment now. Let me know further changes. So this is pretty awesome. When was this one? This June 29th, 2023 was when they posted this. Okay, so I have not paid attention to this for a while because I've been too busy running games. But now that I'm looking at creating content that I might eventually put out, yeah. But I do like this, so, okay. So, there we go. Oh, hey. The Book of Meta Knowledge. Which is really cool because I gave it to a low level, because right now in my North campaign, this is possessed by a bard by the name of Hetfield, whose last name is Hetfield. This will eventually become Saint Hetfield, the lesser god Saint Hetfield in my world. I got a few of those. Mainly because, what's the... Hold on. What's the... This bunch. Hold on, I can't remember where it is. Give me a second here. I know I can find its sources. The PHB. Gods of the Multiverse. St. Cuthbert. Yeah. Yeah, the reason I started creating characters was St. Cuthbert was the inspiration for that. For me to create St. Hetfield and a few others. The idea is that some of these would be raised to the ones who weren't as power focused, who were more patrons than they were who were more focused on service than patronage became whichever ones felt right. Hetfield sounded better as Saint Hetfield. So I think that's everything. This has been 3 hours, so I think I'm going to call it here. So thank you to anybody who watched. Angry Meatball, thank you for feeling your world is threatened by my super evil deity, my super evil creature. That's always good. When you can, when you're threatening the entire D&D multiverse, or the Pathfinder Pathfinder and every other fantasy RPG universe that's tied in some way directly or indirectly to D&D, you done right by it. And that's what I gotta say. So I think I'm probably going to do a little bit more. I may do more world building or maybe story creation, because I've got the adventure aggressive negotiations to build. I've also got I got the Sunken Tower ruin to build. Which is I'm starting to come up with having to create bits of Mave language is going to be fun. I haven't figured. But I got. Let's see here. 4, 3, sec 2, 1. I got like 5 major floors in this sunken Mave ruin, which of course extended up far, because this is the biggest location in the biggest Mave place I've got on the island. So my party explores this in detail. They are going to find some cool shit and be seriously armed. Then they just have to work their way up the island, discover some cool stuff, and eventually run into the settlement of Meldarin, run into a few other people, meet Aran Moonsong, eventually hook up with Draytan, and lay waste to the big bad. Probably going to take a couple years for us to do that, because we play this game at most once a month. And that's my evening pills going off. So Monday night. Did I take those at all? Fuck, I missed. Well, we're going to take all my pills right now, because I think I forgot my Tuesday lunch pills again. I suck. My goal was to take them earlier today and then pop the new ones late tonight. My night pills tonight, but I messed it again. Okay, so yeah. I've got 2 adventures to build. I've done some world building. I think I'm going to write a little bit more on it. Once I finish with my world building, I will go ahead and finish my world building as I can, and continue. Now that I got stubs for a lot of stuff, I can then go back and fill it in over time. Meanwhile, I need to build 2 adventures, and I think I'm going to spend I'll do the next 2 streams doing that, while I also try to figure out what the hell I want to play on stream other than D&D creation, because this takes a lot of work, and it's probably not the most exciting thing. So I think we'll leave it there, because I got to go kill that damned alarm. So until next time, see ya when I see ya. Fuck, didn't hit the button right. Seriously? Let's try this again. Till next time, see ya when I see ya.